What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to give you an overview of some of the current data points, what shorts are doing, as well as just briefly talk on the latest rumor that's floating around and if there's any validity to it or not. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So right now, SoundHound is pulling back 5.13%, rather low volume. So 14.7 million shares have been traded within the first about hour and a half of the trading day. 99.1 is the average. So big money isn't really getting into SoundHound today as much as it was last week. So of course that's something to consider. Dark pool on the other hand is very active. Dark pool is often enough linked to shorting, so I'll give you an overview of that. There hasn't been any recent news, no SEC filings, nothing like that, but with us now in April, Q1 numbers are locked in. So as far as the next thing to look forward to that we do know is coming out is going to be their Q1 earnings. And based on at least last year, they did submit it on May the 12th. So it is fair to assume that it's going to be roughly around the same time period. So probably first week of May in my opinion. So again, I think that's going to be the next big thing for investors to look forward to, since SoundHound's not really putting out all that much news. On a positive note, they have still continued their streak of no selling. So insiders, last time they did sell was March the 22nd. So we've been successfully a week and a bit since any insiders have sold. So I think that's overall a fairly good thing. But when it comes down to rumors, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because I have seen a lot of people on social media acting like it is the truth. And so based on the last news that did come out on the 25th, it does show that SoundHound's going to be integrated in Stellantis vehicles. And I think that's a fairly good thing. And it could be more of a domino effect in the future if everything goes right. Tesla today just unveiled their production and delivery numbers, a little bit lower than analyst expectations, but they did produce roughly 433,000 vehicles and 387,000 vehicles were delivered. So lo and behold though, that is essentially the rumor. So a lot of people are saying that Elon is buying into SoundHound with the intention of them to integrate SoundHound's technology into Tesla vehicles. If that is ever accurate and very true, then SoundHound is going to go up 100x from here. My own opinion, of course. But realistically, is Elon actually doing that? Did they buy in? I don't feel that's justified, because Tesla does like to do a lot of things in-house. So, and especially based on SoundHound, the market cap right now, just to give you a good overview, is 1.72 billion. Tesla, if they really wanted, could just buy SoundHound. So again, that could be a viable option, but in my opinion, I feel like that should just be categorized in the rumor category and should not be traded based off of that information. Maybe in the coming years, maybe that might work out, especially if good reviews come from Stellantis and everything else. But in reality, there's been no connection whatsoever between Stellantis and Tesla. So it's not like they communicate, say, hey, look, we have amazing technology, blah, blah, blah. So I do feel like this is just investors trying to kind of mitigate the lack of news. And so in my opinion, again, it would be very exciting, but I don't feel it's justified. Looking at shorts, right now shorts are increasing 346,000 shares. 16.87% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 45.17 million shares overall are being shorted. Utilization is at 100%, and cost to borrow average is 20.86. Through Interactive Brokers, short availability does indicate around 450,000 shares is available to be shorted, and then Interactive Brokers cost to borrow is 19.61. Moving on to options, $821,000 in calls being purchased versus 507 in puts. So based on this information, bigger institutions and big money isn't really getting into SoundHound through options. Of course, I think their technicals are starting to break down a little bit as well, so maybe that has some reason why, but based on the sentiment though, 51 or 50% of all the options being done today are bearish. So more of a pullback is anticipated. And I think that again is linked to just broader market concerns and its technicals. Of the call options that are being purchased though, you do see a consensus for it to be above roughly about 550, and then looking at puts, you see a consensus for it to be sub roughly $5. But moving on from here, with it right now at $5.24, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 488 will be that next strong support, and then $6.97 will be that next strong resistance. Looking on the actual chart, it is lower percentile of the boiling band. You do see that 50-day moving average roughly around 450, so definitely you'll want to watch for that to hold. And I think in reality, that's kind of where a very strong support is as well. Looking on stochastic, it is very oversold, so it's pulled back. So in reality, if there's a good piece of news, like I said, maybe rumor or maybe not, then SoundHound will definitely have a rush of value investors getting into SoundHound, causing it to go higher. Number of retail investors have been getting out over this last little bit. And just to give you a quick overview, so going over to Interactive Brokers, there hasn't been really any analyst ratings or updates. So last one was done 7 days ago by Glenn, who has a 50% success rating and a $7 price target, but I've already talked all about that. But like I mentioned, with their Q1 earnings now locked and loaded, these are some expectations being done by analysts. So surprisingly, Q1 is expected to be a little bit worse off than Q4, and I don't really understand the basis of that. Maybe just higher expenses, I'm not really sure, but currently 6 analysts are giving estimates, and there's a consensus of -9 cents. If anything, analysts became a little bit more bearish because it did go from -8 cents to -9 cents, and for revenue, it looks like it's going to miss completely compared to Q4 2023. Currently, there are 6 analysts with a consensus of 10.1 million for revenue. Previously, it was 11.92. So analysts have been a little bit bearish on SoundHound recently, which again, once SoundHound does put out their Q1 earnings, that'll definitely either propel it higher if good or very positive, optimistic, or could potentially cause it to go down significantly and be the dagger, at least in the short term, for it to trend down. Let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. If you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, such as everything I mentioned, even looking at the latest Morningstar report, which on a side note, it does show 777 being the fair market value for SoundHound, definitely take a look at Interactive Brokers for all this information to be completely free. Link in the description below and also the comments. So with all that, let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing behind the scenes? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.